chosen one. You almost ignored this, didn't you? Like it felt small, random, but it stayed in your chest. There's a reason this Thursday won't let you scroll past it. Stay here a second. This is where most people miss it, because something already started shifting before you even noticed. Not loud, not obvious, just off, slightly different. You felt it earlier this week, didn't you? That strange pause in your routine. That moment where things didn't flow like they normally do. You thought it was nothing, but what if that nothing was the signal? See, this wasn't placed in front of everyone. It slipped past most people completely, but you caught it. And that's the part you're not fully understanding yet. Why you? Why now? You've been carrying this quiet weight for a long time. Not the kind you talk about. The kind that sits in your chest when everything goes silent. People never really saw it. They saw you functioning but not feeling, moving but not understood. And over time you started questioning yourself. Why does everything feel delayed? Why do things almost happen, then don't? You told yourself maybe you were overthinking. But pause right there. What if those delays weren't accidents? What if something was quietly pulling you away every single time something wasn't meant for you? Think about it. That opportunity that slipped, that connection that didn't last, that plan that fell apart for no clear reason. You felt frustrated, even hurt. But look closer. What if you weren't being blocked, you were being steered? No, stay with this part, because this is where it gets uncomfortable. There were moments you almost gave up. Moments you thought, maybe I'm just not meant for anything bigger. That thought didn't come from clarity. It came from exhaustion, but something didn't let you fully quit, did it? Even at your lowest, something in you stayed awake. Why? Why didn't you just walk away like everything told you to? This is where it shifts, because this Thursday isn't random timing. It's a point, a quiet intersection, where everything that didn't make sense starts pressing together. You might notice something small, a conversation, a delay, a feeling you can't explain, and your first instinct will be to ignore it. That's the test, not a loud one, not obvious, just a moment where you either listen or scroll past what was meant for you. And here's the part that was hidden. You were never out of place, you were out of alignment, temporarily. Every pause you hated, every redirection you didn't understand, was keeping you from stepping into something too early. Because if it came sooner, you wouldn't have seen it clearly. You needed this version of yourself. The one who questions, the one who feels deeply, the one who notices what others don't. That's why this message feels different, not louder. Closer. You've been feeling something shift lately, like this moment was always meant for you. Comment 777 if you feel this isn't random anymore. Stay connected with Born into Light, because you're starting to understand why you were chosen. So when Thursday arrives, don't rush through it like every other day. Pay attention to what feels slightly off. That's where it is. The thing you almost missed before is coming back around. And this time, you're meant to recognize it. But not in the way you think. Not loud, not obvious. Almost easy to miss again. And that's the part that keeps repeating. The thing shows up, and you almost look right past it. Why does that keep happening? Pause. Because it was never about visibility, it was about readiness. You weren't supposed to see it clearly before. Not because it wasn't there, but because you would have misunderstood it. And misunderstanding it would have cost you more than missing it. Think about that for a second. How many times did something feel right, but later you realized it would have pulled you into the wrong place? Yeah, that wasn't coincidence, that was interference. Not to stop you, but to delay your yes. This is where most people get it wrong. They think clarity comes first, then alignment. But for you, it's been the opposite. You were moved first, confused first, detached first. Only now the understanding starts catching up. And it feels strange, doesn't it? Like things are starting to make sense, but you can't fully explain why. That's not confusion. That's transition. Wait, stay with this part, because this is where the shift tightens. You're going to notice something small, not dramatic, not life-changing on the surface, but it will hit something inside you, not your mind, deeper. And for a second, you'll hesitate. Why? Because it will feel familiar, but also new at the same time. That contradiction, that's the signal. But here's what you didn't see before. You were trained to doubt that feeling. Every time you got close to recognizing it, something external pulled your attention away. A distraction, a delay, a sudden shift in energy. You thought it was random. It wasn't. It was just enough to make you second-guess yourself. And every time you second-guessed it, you stepped back into confusion. Not anymore, because now you're noticing the pattern. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. So let me ask you something. Why does this feel like it's happening again, but differently? Why does it feel quieter, yet stronger? That's not repetition. That's refinement. The same moment is returning, but you're not the same person anymore. You've been shaped for this version of it. Less reactive, more aware, still unsure, but no longer blind. And that changes everything. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You can still miss it, even now. Not because it's hidden, but because it requires a different kind of attention. Not force, not overthinking, just presence. And that's been the hardest thing for you, hasn't it? Slowing down enough to actually feel what's real. Because you learned to move fast, to cope, to push through. But this doesn't respond to that version of you. It responds to the one who pauses, the one who notices the subtle shift in energy, the one who doesn't need everything explained to move forward. This is where it gets real, because when it shows up this time, you won't get a second push. No extra sign, no louder confirmation. Just that quiet moment again. And your response, that's what decides everything next. So when it happens, don't look for certainty, look for recognition. Because that feeling, it doesn't introduce itself. It doesn't say this is the moment. It just echoes something you felt before. And that's what makes it dangerous, because your mind will try to shrink it. Call it coincidence. Tell you it's nothing new. But your chest will say otherwise. Did you notice that? That quiet pull, not loud, but steady, like something is asking you to lean in just a little. Why does it feel so familiar, yet you still hesitate? Because last time, you didn't trust it, not fully. You paused, then stepped back. You felt it, then questioned it, and that hesitation shifted everything. But here's the part you weren't told. That moment didn't disappear. It stayed, waiting for you to become the version that wouldn't ignore it. And now you're closer to that version than you realize, but not fully there yet. That's why this feels tense, like something is building but hasn't broken through. Wait, this is important. You think you're waiting for a sign, but the truth is, the sign is waiting for your response. Read that again in your own mind. You're not behind, you're being watched in a different way. Not judged, measured, not by what you say, but by what you do in the quiet moments. When no one's there, when nothing is confirmed, that's where this decision actually happens. And you've been here before. Almost the same setup, almost the same feeling. But something always interrupted it. This time, it feels cleaner, less noise, less chaos around it. Why? Because what needed to leave already did. That's why certain people faded. That's why certain people faded. That's why something stopped working. Not to empty your life, but to remove interference. So when this moment arrives again, there's nothing left to blame, only your awareness, only your choice. And here's where it flips. You don't need more time. You needed this exact pressure. This quiet urgency, this feeling that something matters but you can't fully explain why. That's the alignment point. Not comfort, not clarity, pressure. And most people run from that. But you didn't. You stayed. Even when it felt confusing, you stayed close to the feeling. Why? Because something in you knew this wasn't random. So now ask yourself this. When it shows up again, will you soften into it or pull away? Because the difference will be subtle, almost invisible. No big moment, no dramatic shift, just a small decision that changes everything after it. And this is where it gets heavier. You won't get proof first. You won't get full understanding. You'll only get that same quiet recognition and a chance to move differently this time. So don't wait for it to make sense. That's not how this works. Let it feel incomplete. Let it feel uncertain. That's how you'll know it's real. Because the thing meant for you won't arrive fully explained. It arrives partial, almost like a question instead of an answer. And that's where you usually freeze. Because you've been taught to move when things are clear, when everything lines up, when it feels safe. But this isn't that. This asks something else from you, something quieter, more honest. It asks, can you recognize truth without needing proof? Sit with that, because this is where your old pattern tries to come back. It whispers, wait a little more, think it through again. Don't rush. Sounds logical, right? But look closer. That voice doesn't protect you. It delays you, and delay has been the pattern. Not failure, not rejection. Delay. Just enough to keep you circling the same moment over and over, slightly different each time. Until now, because something is different this time. You are not louder, not more confident, just more aware. And awareness changes how this unfolds. Wait, feel this part. You're not being asked to chase anything. You're being asked to stop resisting what's already coming toward you. That's the shift. Subtle, but everything depends on it. Because before, you kept trying to figure it out. This time, you're meant to meet it. Without overthinking, without stepping back. Just meet it. And I know there's still a part of you that doubts this. A small voice saying, what if I'm wrong? Good. That doubt means you're close. Because certainty would mean you're still in control. And this was never about control. Here's the contradiction no one told you. The more you try to be sure, the further you move from it. And the moment you allow it to feel uncertain, that's when you align with it. Strange, right? But you've already felt that shift before. A moment where you stopped forcing and something just clicked. No explanation, no logic, just a quiet knowing. That's what's returning. Not bigger, not louder, cleaner. And this time, it won't chase you. It will pass by gently. And your awareness is the only thing that can catch it. So notice what pulls your attention without effort. Notice what lingers even after you try to ignore it. Notice what feels small but won't leave. That's where it's hiding. Not in the obvious, in the overlooked. And here's what tightens everything. You've already seen a glimpse of it. Recently. Maybe you brushed it off. Maybe you told yourself later. But it stayed in the background, didn't it? That wasn't random. That was the first knock. Soft, respectful, not forcing its way in. Because this isn't something that pushes. It waits. And now it's coming back one more time. Not to convince you, to see if you're ready. So when that moment opens again, and it will, don't try to understand it immediately. Just don't turn away from it, even if it feels incomplete, even if it doesn't make sense right away. Because this isn't asking for your logic, it's asking for your attention. And there's a difference. You've given your attention to things that drained you before, things that looked louder, clearer, more certain. But this is quieter, almost easy to dismiss. So why does it stay with you? Why does it keep returning to your thoughts? even when you try to move on. That's not attachment. That's alignment trying to surface. But here's where it gets deeper. You're not just recognizing something. Something is recognizing you. Pause. Let that sit for a second. Because you've been searching, waiting, trying to understand what's meant for you. But what if, this whole time, it's been moving toward you just as intentionally? And every delay, every redirection wasn't just preparing you, it was timing you. Not everything arrives when you want it. Some things arrive when you can finally hold them without losing yourself. And before, you couldn't. Not fully. You would have rushed it, overthought it, maybe even walked away from it out of fear. That's the part no one tells you. You weren't just being protected from the wrong things. You were being protected from the wrong things. You were being protected from mishandling the right one. Yeah, that shifts it, doesn't it? Because now the question isn't, why did it take so long? It's, what changed in me that made this possible now? Stay here. Because the answer isn't obvious. It's not something you learned overnight. It's in the subtle ways you started seeing things differently, the way you stopped forcing certain outcomes, the way you began noticing patterns instead of reacting to them. You didn't become perfect, you became aware. And awareness is what this moment responds to. But here's the part that tightens everything again. You still have a choice, even now. Even after everything lining up like this, you can still drift past it. Not because it disappears, but because you return to old habits for just 1 second too long. That's all it takes. A second of doubt. A second of doubt. A second of distraction. And the moment closes quietly. Not gone forever, but not the same again. So ask yourself this. Why does this feel like a final chance, even though nothing is being forced? Why does it feel calm, but serious at the same time? That's not pressure from outside. That's clarity forming inside you. And clarity doesn't shout. It settles. It becomes still. And in that stillness, you either move with it or you move away. There's no in-between here. And that's what makes this Thursday different. It's not louder, it's more precise. Less noise, more truth. So when it reaches you again, and it will feel almost identical but slightly sharper, don't wait for confirmation. You've already been given enough, not in words, in feeling, in repetition, in the way it never fully left you. That's been the message the whole time. Not something new, something returning, until you finally see it clearly. And this time, you won't be confused by it. But that doesn't mean it will feel easy. Clarity doesn't remove weight, it removes excuses. And that's where this tightens around you. Because once you see it, really see it, you can't pretend you didn't. No going back to maybe later. No hiding behind "I'm not sure yet." That space closes. So what do you do when the moment becomes undeniable? Do you lean in or do you stall one last time? Be honest. There's still a part of you that wants to hesitate. Not because it's wrong, but because it's real. And real things shift your direction. They ask something from you. Not effort, not struggle, a decision. Clean, quiet, final. And that's what makes this different from before. Before, you had room to drift. Now, you feel the edge of it. That point where something inside you says, this is it. No noise, no build-up, just that sentence sitting there. And it hits deeper than anything loud ever could. Wait, notice what's happening inside you right now. That slight tension, that awareness pulling forward. You're not just listening anymore, you're remembering. Not memories like events, something else. A knowing you couldn't explain before. Moments where you almost chose differently. Moments where something felt right, but you stepped back. Those weren't mistakes, they were rehearsals. Yes, rehearsals. Not to get it perfect, but to make sure when this exact version of the moment arrived, you wouldn't miss it again. Feel that shift. Because this isn't your first time here. It's just the first time you're fully present in it. And presence changes everything. But here's the unexpected part. You don't need to feel ready. Read that again in your mind. You don't need to feel ready. Because readiness isn't a feeling, it's a recognition. And recognition already happened. That's why this feels so specific, so personal, so hard to ignore. It's not trying to convince you, it's confirming something you already sensed. So why are you still hesitating? Is it fear of being wrong or fear of finally being right? Sit with that. Because if you're right, then everything shifts. The way you move, the things you accept, the direction you choose next. The direction you choose next. And that kind of shift doesn't ask for permission. It just waits for your response. So when that moment opens, when it feels quiet but exact, don't look around for validation. Don't wait for someone else to understand it. This was never meant to be shared first. It was meant to be recognized, alone. And that's why it found you like this, not loudly, not publicly, just directly. So now you're standing in it, right at the point where everything you went through either starts making sense or stays unfinished. And the difference? It's not time. It's not time. It's not chance. It's you and what you choose in that one quiet moment when everything inside you already knows. That's the moment you can't fake. Not to yourself. Not anymore. Because before you could ignore that knowing. You could bury it under noise, distraction, logic. But now, it stays. It lingers even when you try to move away from it. Why? Because it's no longer outside of you. It's active. Quiet, but active. And this is where things become irreversible. Not in action, in awareness. Once you see it this clearly, you can't return to not seeing it, and that's where the pressure you feel is coming from. Not pressure to act fast, pressure to be honest with yourself. So let me ask you something. Why does this feel like a line you're about to cross? Not physically, internally. Like once you move with this, something about you won't be the same again. That feeling isn't fear, it's recognition of change. But here's the twist. The change already happened. You're not stepping into something new. You're stepping into something that's been waiting for you to catch up. That's why this feels familiar. Not because it's repeating, but because it's been with you the whole time. In fragments, in small nudges you didn't fully follow, in moments you almost trusted, then pulled back. But now those fragments are aligning, and alignment feels different. Heavier, clearer, harder to ignore. Wait, this is where it tightens even more. You think you're deciding whether to move forward, but you're actually deciding whether to stop holding yourself back. That's the real decision. Not should I go, but will I finally stop resisting what's already mine to step into? Feel the difference? Because one comes from doubt, the other comes from truth, and truth doesn't argue, it just stays. Even when you try to silence it, even when you distract yourself, even when you say, not now, it waits, right there, unmoved. So now you're here again, but this time, it's quieter than ever. No external push, no obvious sign, just that same internal pull, stronger than before. Why stronger? Because there's less left in you that's fighting it. You've already released more than you realize. That's why certain things don't attract you the same way anymore. That's why some conversations feel empty now. That's why you've been pulling back without fully understanding why. You were making space, not consciously, but intentionally. And now that space is about to be filled, but only if you allow it. And this is where most people freeze, not because they don't see it, but because they finally do. And seeing it means responsibility. It means you can't blame timing anymore. You can't blame confusion. Because now you understand just enough. And that just enough is everything. So when that moment lands, when it feels almost too simple, too quiet, don't complicate it. Don't search for something bigger. This isn't about big, it's about exact. And exact doesn't repeat itself endlessly. It returns until you meet it fully. And this right here is that return. It's the part you used to skip, not because you didn't care, because you didn't realize what it was. It looked too ordinary, too quiet to matter, but that's exactly how it was kept from you, hidden in simplicity. So you kept searching for something louder, something clearer, something that would remove all doubt. And every time you did that, you stepped past it again. Notice that. You weren't blind, you were looking in the wrong direction. But now, something flipped. You're not searching the same way anymore. You're noticing small things, subtle shifts, things that don't demand your attention but somehow hold it anyway. Why those things? Why now? Because your attention changed, and attention decides what becomes real for you. Stay with this, because this is where the deeper layer starts opening. You think this moment is about one decision. It's not. It's about a pattern ending, a pattern of hesitation, of almost, of I felt it but didn't move. That pattern has been following you quietly, not loudly enough to scare you, but just enough to keep you in place. And here's the contradiction. You thought you needed more clarity to break that pattern, but the pattern was the thing blocking your clarity. Read that again in your mind. So now, clarity isn't coming to you. It's being uncovered by you, by what you stop ignoring, by what you stop pushing away. And that's happening right now, not later, not when you're ready. Now, you feel that shift, that slight intensity building, even though nothing external changed. That's internal alignment locking in. And once it locks, you don't go back to how you were before. You can try, but it won't feel the same. Things you used to tolerate will feel off. Things you used to chase will feel empty, because your awareness moved forward, and awareness doesn't reverse. So now the question changes again. Not what is this, but why am I still holding back when I already know enough? Be honest. Is it really confusion? Or is it the weight of what happens after you say yes? Because once you stop resisting, things start moving. Not chaotic, not overwhelming, precise. And precision can feel intense because it removes your ability to drift. No more wandering, just direction. And direction as something from you, not perfection, presence, consistency, trust in something you can't fully explain yet. And that's where you've been tested the most. Trust, not in others, in yourself, in that quiet knowing you kept doubting. But now, that doubt doesn't hit the same, does it? It's weaker, less convincing, almost like it's losing its grip. Why? Because you've seen too much now. Too many patterns, too many repeats, too many moments that felt random but weren't, and all of them led here, to this exact point, where everything narrows down to one thing. Will you finally move with what you feel instead of against it? Because that's what it has always been. Not a lack of opportunity, not bad timing, just resistance in small moments. Moments that looked harmless. Moments you told yourself didn't matter, but they did. Each one quietly shaping your direction without you realizing it. So now this moment feels heavier. Not because it's bigger, because you finally see it, and seeing it means you feel it fully. No filters, no distractions softening it, just you and that knowing. So what happens when you stop fighting it? Not forcing, not chasing, just allowing it. Something shifts immediately, not outside, inside. a kind of stillness you haven't felt before. Not emptiness, clarity without noise. And in that clarity, something becomes obvious, not explained, obvious. That next step you kept overthinking, it was never complicated. You just didn't trust yourself enough to take it. Pause. Feel that. Because this is where everything changes quietly. No announcement, no big sign, just a decision that feels almost too simple. And that simplicity used to scare you, because you thought important things had to feel intense, dramatic, undeniable. But this is undeniable in a different way. It doesn't shout, it stays. Even when you try to look away, even when you try to delay it again, it doesn't leave. Why? Because this time, it's aligned with who you've become, not who you were. And that's the part you didn't see coming. You thought you needed something new. But what you needed was to become someone who could finally recognize what was already there. And now you are. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough, more than enough. So now, this Thursday isn't about something happening to you. It's about something being revealed through you, a moment that was always yours finally becoming clear. And here's the final shift. You're not waiting anymore. You're arriving, quietly, without noise, without needing anyone else to see it yet. Just you, stepping into something that's been waiting patiently. And once you do, everything that confused you before starts making sense in ways you can't even explain yet. Not all at once, but enough to know you were never lost, you were being positioned. Every delay placed you correctly. Every redirection protected your timing. Even the moments you almost gave up, they mattered more than you realize, because they brought you here. To this exact awareness, to this exact second, where you finally stop asking, what if I'm wrong? And start realizing you were being guided all along, not loudly, not forcefully, but precisely. So when this moment fully lands and you feel that quiet certainty settle in, don't question it again. Don't shrink it. Don't delay it. Just move with it. Because this time, you're not guessing anymore. You're remembering. And that is why this Thursday was chosen. This wasn't just a message. It was a reminder of who you are becoming. Subscribe and stay close to this path. Don't drift away now, because chosen ones don't find this by accident. They remember it.